good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Yes Movement. We are having this conversation every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And normally it's myself and John, but today John is at an all-day event. So today, this morning, you've got me, and we're going to have a great conversation about what saying yes gets us in life, gets us in business, and gets us in our bodies, and how saying yes is really an amazing, amazing activity to do. I put this shirt on this morning and it really inspired, vacation mode and feeling of travel and exploration. And it's not by accident because this Sunday I leave for Morocco for a 2 week adventure with a bunch of amazing entrepreneurs, and it's just gonna be amazing. And it got me actually thinking, what is the lessons that I've learned through travel, through exploring, and by saying yes. And I just, I'd love to tell a few of those travel stories because it's really amazing. And I know each of us have our own amazing stories as well from travel. But before that, I wanted to do a shout out. On Friday, we had an amazing guest, Pat, and Pat shared her journey of health and wellness. And, at 7 years old, she actually looks amazing. Hashtag life goals for myself. But she shared, her activity that she does every single day to stay positive, to always say yes, to look at her greater purpose. And it was a really simple exercise. It was put an elastic band around your wrist, and anytime a negative thought or one that isn't helping you stay on purpose came into view, you just cause a little bit of pain. It's a quick reminder by snapping on that elastic band. And it's funny because John said he when he first did it, he ended up with a bruise that day. So I just love these simple techniques that anyone can do any single day, and to remind ourselves that we can do better than we were today. Because we're never in competition with other people; we're in competition with ourselves to be better than ourselves. So that was really, really amazing insights. And I love this new format. So on Mondays and Wednesdays, we're going to share different stories and what we learned, and then on Fridays, we're going to have a special guest. And that's just an amazing process because when we bring guests on, we get real life stories, real life examples of how this all works, and that's just absolutely amazing. So, I was talking about. Oh, good night, Rob. The audio is not very clear. Okay, let me get closer to my screen and see if that's going to help it at all. But these. I'm going to just do one little change to my audio as well. Mm, Let's see if that makes it better. Let me know, Bob, if that does make it any better. I did do a little switcheroo on the audio. So I'd love to tell you about a trip that I took on, and this is a real say yes story because, and in fact, it's a say yes story honoring my 8-year-old self who wanted to do a travel to this place since I was 8 years old. So let me tell you a story. When I was young, my dad he had a subscription to National Geographic magazine. I know many of our parents had that in the past, and National Geographic magazines are colorful and they're they're very beautiful. All right, thank you, Bob. I'll try one more thing. Just everyone, just give me 1 sec while I change one more thing on the audio and see if that changes. Now give me a thumbs up again if that changes anything or if it stayed the same, but we'll keep going. So, oh, everyone's saying audio is not clear. Let me find my headphones. Everyone, just a sec. All right, thank you guys for letting me know that the audio is not so great. Let's see if we can switch this out. And of course, my headphones won't connect, but that's the way it goes, right? So is the audio changed? Because I just changed one more setting in it. And Felicia Guab, thank you so much for letting me know when we're having these technical difficulties. All right, let me keep going with the, oh, it's okay now. Okay, well, the third setting, that's what I had to press, the third setting. So thank you so much. So going back to National Geographic magazine. My dad had a subscription to National Geographic magazines. And the funny part, and when I think back as an adult, is my dad and my parents didn't really travel. They lived on a smaller income. Travel was not a priority for them. And it actually wasn't until the later years that my sister took me on some trips that they traveled a little bit more in the world. But these National Geographic magazines would come. I remember being a little girl, like even like maybe 4 or 5 years old, and seeing these magazines and flipping through them, sort of like the magazine, but thinking that they were a picture book because they were so colorful. And there was maps in these National Geographic magazines, and you could pull the map out and you could fill the whole living room carpet with these maps. They're really, really phenomenal maps. And I remember thinking these places that were showcased in the National Geographic magazines that they were not real places. That they were just in a picture book, just like the storybooks that I had been reading, and that's what I thought it was. I didn't realize that these places were real places. All right, looks like we lost audio again. Okay. Well, I think this might be a StreamYard problem, but let's echo cancellation off and see if that helps anything. All right, so I really didn't know that these places were real. And because I didn't think they were real, I just thought I was looking at a picture book. So fast forward years, obviously I then learned that these were. Oh, you're not hearing me at all. This is a little bit frustrating, but let's see if we can. Um, okay, audio. All right. Okay, now it's clear to you. Okay, so I just made another change. Thank you for letting me know that you're hearing me. I'm really sorry, guys. We have contacted StreamYard to see what some of these technical problems are, and it's a little bit frustrating, but you guys stick with me, and I love it. So going back to the story. So fast forward to my adult years, there was a trip that a friend of mine, through acquaintances, was organizing for a bunch of entrepreneurs, and it was to Bhutan. And if you've ever looked up Bhutan or know about Bhutan, Bhutan has this monastery that is absolutely spectacular, and it's called the Tiger's Nest. And if you do a quick Google, you'll see this place. It's truly one of the most magical places in the entire world. And when I saw this trip, I first of all, I have to acknowledge I didn't know where Bhutan was, but I did know about the Tiger's Nest. And the reason I knew about the Tiger's Nest was because as a little girl looking at those National Geographic magazines, I had seen that on the cover of a National Geographic magazine. And I remember dreaming and fantasizing as a little girl about living there. I think I wanted to live there, not understanding that you wouldn't live at a monastery. But that's okay because the little girl brain activates things in us that make us feel things. And so when I heard about this trip to Bhutan, and I saw the Tiger's Nest and I put two and two together, I knew I had to honor my little girl self who had dreamed of going here one day and say yes to this trip. And I said yes to this trip to go to Bhutan, not understanding that I thought I was just saying yes to go to this Tiger's Nest, but not understanding that I was actually saying yes to finding all kinds of reasons to say yes and all kinds of uh, um, experiences that would really change the course of my life and that change the course of my thinking. And this trip was just it was just before COVID. So it was just before COVID. So it's only just a few years ago. And, think of the trips that you might be taking, and the experiences that you've had, especially when we get out of our regular environment, our regular day-to-day activities, the 9 to 5 grind that we are in. What are the life lessons that are right next door to us to learn? And I wanted to share one of those because, the Tiger's Nest was an amazing hike. It's a pretty grueling hike, but it wasn't the most grueling hike that we took on that trip. But my experience in Bhutan actually started in the stopover in Bangkok. And it was another Say Yes story. So I was in Bangkok ahead of the group by a week, and I wanted to do some exploring. But as a woman traveling, you don't travel alone, especially in a new city. So I hired a tour guide for the day so that I could see all of the touristy types of things, but also maybe I could get a behind the scenes look at life in Bangkok. So my tour guide came that day, and she had a regular itinerary for me, and it was to see lots of temples. And I said, I want to see a couple temples, but I'd actually love to see behind the scenes. So is there maybe a cooking class I can take? Is there a market we can go to? And we were done all of those activities by about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And she had other touristy types of things that she wanted to take me to, but I didn't want to be the tourist in all those crowds. And I'd seen enough temples by that time. And so I asked her, I said, what do you love to do? And she was really taken back because she's used to serving always the other people. And she said, what I love to do? I love to go to a fortune teller. I thought, that's really neat. And so I said, well, take me to your fortune teller. And she's like, really? And I'm like, absolutely, let's go to a fortune teller. And to me, I was just being playful and honoring what she loves to do. And so as we walked to this fortune teller, I had this vision of, like a fortune teller, like, a glass ball and purple curtains and, someone that's going to read my palms or do something like that. And she let me know, my tour guide let me know that she goes to a fortune teller once a week. And I thought to myself, and this was me being judgy, doesn't she tell you the same, or the fortune teller tell you the same thing then? Because it's your fortune, it doesn't change. But I kept that to myself, and we got to the fortune teller, and it was not anything that I expected. The fortune teller was in the middle of a mall at a table, and had a proper vest on, like a suit jacket. Actually, it felt like I was going to get my taxes done, not my fortune told. And my fortune teller had to be my translator. So we started with numerology. She checked my birthday, and she shared lots of information. And then I got to ask some questions, and it was, a really interesting experience. But that was setting me up for the next interesting experience. And that was, in order to honor my good fortunes that are going to come my way, I was asked by the fortune teller to do 3 activities that same day to demonstrate to the universe that I'm ready for these messages and ready to move forward. And I thought, well, that language really resonates with me because it's language that I use with my coaching clients all the time. We have to invite ourselves to say yes to different things. And here were the 3 things that she told me to do. She said, we want to honor the day you were born. The day you were born was a magical day. You are here on purpose on this earth, and so you have to honor your birthday. So that was number 1. Number 2, we want to honor the creator. We're here as we're here on purpose for ourselves, but we're also here as a collective and as a community. And so we want to honor the creator, God, Mother Earth, whatever language makes sense to you. And honoring the creator makes sense to me. And then the third thing was, she said, you have to save a life today. Okay, that all of a sudden that felt really, really heavy. How am I supposed to save a life today? Like it's almost dinner time. So that was the 3 tasks that were given to me, and I thought, oh great, I'm already set up for failure. This is my good fortune has got out the window. And I was joking, but I wasn't joking. I was kind of stressed about this. And my fortune teller said to me, I've got you. And I thought, oh, like what a great feeling to know that someone's got your back as you go through the motions of life and learning. And that's what a good coach does. That's what a good friend does. That's what someone that you support does. That day it was my fortune teller. So the first thing we did is we went and we honored my birthday. So we found my birth Buddha, and we did an offering of oil for my birth Buddha. And it was just a moment, just a really quick moment of offering this oil. But it was a moment for me to reflect on, I am here on purpose, and that means I need to be purposeful every single day. And it really did solidify that feeling and that example. And then the second thing was to honor the creator. So we found this beautiful Buddha. He was, I guess there's no sex in Buddha, but to me, she was beautiful and she was large. She was so large that I could only touch her big toe. So I came up to just her ankle. She was very, very large. And then the third one was to save a life. And I thought, how am I going to save a life today? This is a little bit overwhelming. And my tour guide said, I've got this, but she was keeping it a little bit secret. What we ended up doing is she took me to the market, the local market, and we purchased 3 fish. And they were still alive. And we took those fish, put them into a plastic bag, and we took them back down to the river and we released them. And, I was overwhelmed with, how am I going to save a life? And what I realized is sometimes we actually make things bigger than they really are, or we think that they're bigger than they are. And in fact, the simple act of buying these fish and releasing them really was all that we needed to do. And what it did for me is it made me realize that this wasn't about saving the fish's life. This was about saving my own life and taking action, saying yes to really having the best life possible. And, those 3 life lessons came from me just saying to a tour guide, what do you love to do? What's your life experiences that I could participate in for a little short period of time? And what can I learn from you? And, what I want to impart on all of you is that our mentors, our teachers, they're all around us every single day of our lives. All we have to do is get curious, ask lots of questions, and those mentors, those teachers, they come into our lives. And that is just the most spectacular way to live life. And, if this story is resonating with you, I'd love to see your comments. Is there someone in your life that's a mentor, that's a teacher, or has been, and you need to have gratitude for them? Today's the day to reach out to them. That's my call to action. Or is there someone that that if you asked just a few more questions and got curious, they could teach you something and teach you something amazing? And that's what I suggest you do, is book a coffee chat with them. Let them know what you love about them and what you'd like to learn. And you have no idea what journey they've been on and what journey they'll share with you. But what I do know for sure is that when you do this activity, when you reach out to a mentor, to a teacher, and you're open to the life lessons, you will see a new version of yourself come through that door, because we can borrow the resources from those people that are around us and want to teach us. And that's why I share these stories, because the more I can share, the more someone else might hear a message that resonates with them. And myself and John, we're always available to all of you that are our avid listeners. If you want to share stories, if you want to know how you can connect with us, just join us on LinkedIn, send us a direct message. We answer all of them. But we're almost at time. How did that happen? I said to John, how am I going to fill up 20 minutes all by myself without talking to you? And here we are. We're at the top of the hour. So have yourself an amazing Monday. Remember, your call to action is to give recognition to someone who's taught you a life lessons, or connect with a mentor and get curious and ask lots of questions and see what they have to as a life lesson for you. These were my life lessons in Bangkok and in my trip to Bhutan. I'm off to Morocco on Sunday, so for 2 weeks after this week, John will be on his own for the Say Yes movement, but then I'll be right back and I'll have tons of stories to tell. Thank you to everyone. And yes, save a life today, but remember, saving your own is the most important one. Immense gratitude to all of you, and we'll see you all on Wednesday, and we will be from my feed this week, so I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye, everyone.